Seed empty. Imagine this. You spawn into what should be a lively Minecraft world, but something's horrifically wrong from the moment you start breaking your first woodblock. The seed empty does live up to its ominous title in ways that will make your skin crawl. At first, you'll probably assume you've simply been unlucky with your spawn point, but the more you explore, the more the awful reality becomes apparent. This world is slowly, systematically losing its life. The most frightening thing you'll realize is the creepy silence that attends you wherever you go. Where normally you'd be greeted by the sound of cows mooing, pigs grunting, or chickens clucking, there's only a stifling quiet filling the empty world. Animals are extremely rare, dotted so thinly that it would take you several hours of hard work and searching to find a single cow. It's nothing less than a death sentence disguised as a glitch, for getting food becomes a hell of venturing into endless, barren stretches of nothingness. But the lack of animals is not the only reason for the seed's curse. As you wander through the barren landscape, you'll come across villages that should be active, but each one remains a testament to abandonment. These ghost towns are quite possibly the most haunting thing you'll witness. Homes with doors wide open, farms with crops dying in uncared for fields, and wells filled with the ghosts of past voices that will never return. The villagers didn't simply vanish, it's as though they were never there at all, leaving nothing but the empty shells of what was once their dwelling places. To walk through such deserted towns feels like trespassing in a cemetery, where the sound of every step feels too loud and every shadow too dark. The world itself starts betraying you in inexplicable ways. Chunks, the basic building materials of Minecraft's reality, simply disappear, opening up great holes in the landscape with the endless void below them visible in all their emptiness. One moment you are traversing solid earth, the next you are staring into the void where once there was solid land. These are not simple bugs or glitches, nor are they simple loading errors. They are deliberate erasings with a pattern understood only by the world itself. The more time spent in this cursed place, the more brutal these erasings grow, as reality itself appears to be fading around you slowly. One player reporting finds that prolonged visits to the empty seed produce more and more common chunk deletion incidents, with whole biomes disappearing overnight, giving as their only remnant the cold, endless void under the world, with a hunger for more to devour. Seed 2323, the Thing Seed. The Seed 2323 is where Minecraft's coding has apparently ripped open a doorway into something that shouldn't have existed. This doesn't simply count as another cursed seed, it's the epicenter of one of the most chilling urban legends in the game's history. Back in 2018, the McFarlane Gaming Report captured on film something that caused ripples throughout the Minecraft universe. Evidence of a presence that seemed to act entirely outside the coding of Mojang. Players started reporting run-ins with something they only had words for as that thing, a twisted parody of the iconic Steve model, standing over players with 6 twisted limbs and 2 sets of gaping, unblinking eyes that seemed to pierce right through your screen. What's most frightening about Seed 2323, however, isn't the thing itself, but how the world appears to prepare for its arrival. Books and quills litter the landscape, leading into the same chilling text. I will find you. Steve heads are stuck in hillsides and suspended in midair, gazing in your direction with their vacant eye holes. Giant pillars of netherrack pierce the floor like cathedrals, constructed by unseen hands in impossible arrangements. Something appears to have corrupted the game's core itself. Mobs spawn while playing on peaceful mode, as if whatever exists in its place has disabled the game's most fundamental rules. The most chilling thing about that thing, though, is how unpredictable it's capable of being. From numerous player anecdotes, the entity seems utterly passive at first, generally seen in the distance merely gazing, or in a bizarre, perfect, unnatural way, repairing destroyed buildings with its many arms. For a moment, it feels as though it's attempting to be helpful, and in a way, this makes it 100 times as disturbing as a simple monster would be. You, however, act aggressively, or at least try to get a little closer, and everything flips. That thing lets out a sound described by players as reality tearing apart, a warped sound that feels as though it's going around your ears and into your brain instead of through them. What's most unsettling about the McFarlane reports, however, is the theory that Seed 2323 may be linked to what's called the Freak World, a plane of existence supposedly bleeding into our conventional Minecraft reality. The idea runs that that thing is not part of the overworld, but a traveler from this foreign plane. Hence, the perception it appears to be governed by entirely separate rules. Whether or not one believes in interdimensional Minecraft hypotheses, one thing's for sure. Seed 2323 will make one doubt everything that is known about what can be done in this supposedly innocent block construction game. Seed 2898499025. The Eternal Loop. Welcome to what's possibly the most psychologically disturbing seed in the entire Minecraft collection, a world that makes exploration a surreal nightmare. Seed 2898499025 generates not just terrain, but a maze of madness in which you'll be questioning your own sanity in a matter of minutes. The generation of the world has been utterly altered, resulting in huge chunks of repeated landscape stretching infinitely in every direction. Imagine hours of traveling only to discover that you are standing in front of the very same mountain, forest, and lake you traversed miles earlier. And this is the frightening aspect. You have walked in a straight line, yet somehow, inexplicably, you are back at the starting point. This is more than just a simple landscape repetition. The duplication is so accurate it induces a chilling feeling of deja vu with no end in sight. Each tree occupies the same place, each block of stone lies in the same place, each cave opening in the same precise angle. It's as if stuck in a record with a skip every few beats, watching the same instant repeatedly over and over again. Game players spend entire sessions attempting to venture out of what they perceive as a small section, only to realize they are traversing a limitless labyrinth of the same looking scenery. Your mind senses something's amiss, yet it can't rationalize what it's witnessing. This reality can be likened to a hall of mirrors, those horrific carnival attractions in which each turn promises a dead end. This reality puts you in a labyrinth of illusions. You glimpse what appears to be a way out, a mountain pass in a different guise, a river flowing in a new path, but as you draw closer, fear overwhelms you. It's simply a replication, a duplicate jesting at your futile efforts for freedom. Your location becomes mere digits scrolling without offering a sense of movement. What makes this seed insidious, however, is how it exploits Minecraft's fundamental mechanic, exploration. It's a game founded on discovery, on what's over the next hill. But in this seed, exploration becomes torment. Each step into the distance feels like a backtrack. The Nether becomes a blessed relief from this maddening repetition. At least Hell's nightmares are honest. But eventually, you must return to the overworld, back to the endless maze waiting to trap you again in its perfect, horrible pattern. Seed 646887542, the Deserted Seed. Something in Seed 646887542 is fundamentally off, and you'll sense it in your bones the instant you set out into it. This seed is a work of psychological horror with a reputation for being one of the most truly frightening seeds in the history of Minecraft, and for good reason. Though it bears similarities with the infamous empty seed, this seed goes for a different approach on horror. Unlike the seed empty, which lacks anything, this seed is almost ironically normal. Animals populate the fields, mobs appear in the dark, chickens peck contentedly in farmyards. Everything appears perfectly functional, and it's precisely this perfection that makes what's absent far more chilling. Imagine this horror. You spawn and go exploring, hearing cows grazing in the distance and zombies moaning in the far-off caves. Everything feels terribly normal until you notice a village in the distance. But something feels off. It's terribly silent. The village is perfectly intact, every house standing, every door and its hinges, every window unshadowed. Chickens peck at spilled seed, horses in the fields graze, hostile mobs populate the nightfall. But there's not a villager anywhere in sight. No traders, no farmers, no children, only vacant houses that are meant to be full of humanity. But the real horror of it is this: it's not a single abandoned village. You go wandering in hope of finding the presence of humans, only to stumble upon village after village, perfectly preserved but utterly empty. Miles of ghost towns go on with animals going about their business and the monsters lying in the darkness as usual. It's as if the whole thing was a select apocalyptic event, in which one species, the most critical one, simply dropped out of existence without leaving a single trace. Each village holds the same creepy tale. Beds slept in but now cold. Harvestable crops on the farm while the grazing animals are nearby. The psychological effect is overwhelming in this world's partial emptiness. With a presence of mobs and beasts, the lack of villagers becomes a conscious decision instead of a glitch, as if whatever did it actively targeted only the human dwellers for erasure. You'll be standing in town square surrounded by chickens, cats, and iron golems, hearing cows mooing and the gate of zombies shuffling in the background, yet be more isolated than ever in Minecraft. It's the uncanny valley of video game worlds. Everything looks correct, it sounds correct, but something essential is absent. Seed 478868574082066804. Herobrine Seed. This seed may be one of Minecraft's most persistent mysteries throughout the years, not for what it has in it, but for how desperately it keeps itself hidden from modern players. This mythic seed exists solely in the ancient Alpha 1.0.16_02, a version of Minecraft so outdated that even attempting to experience this seed will be a horror in itself, as you must dig through layers of outdated code, abandoned versions, and forgotten files in order to finally uncover the mystery behind it. What makes this seed genuinely creepy, however, are the reports going around for over a decade of a certain set of coordinates. X equals 5.06, Y equals 71, Z equals negative 298.54. From the hundreds of player accounts, heading to this precise set of coordinates in this version of the game sets up a spine-tingling promise. The possibility to catch a glimpse of Herobrine himself. Not guaranteed, however, the small possibility has motivated countless players into digging out old game files in an attempt to finally experience for themselves one of Minecraft's greatest legends. Players who have journeyed to the location report the experience in disturbing detail. Standing at those precise coordinates, hearts racing, slowly panning their camera in a full circle, dreading what they may catch at the edge of their eye. Some claim to encounter him immediately upon entering the area. That unmistakable shape of Steve with those ghostly white eyes, standing stock still in the distance like a virtual scarecrow. Others speak of less obvious sightings, a figure barely visible among trees, movement in the corner of their screen that disappears when they turn their view towards it. There are a few who are intrepid enough to claim he only appears once they've stood at the location for a few minutes, as if he's observing them first before he appears. The range of these reports only serves to build a sense of enigma and dread. If it was a straightforward glitch, wouldn't we all be seeing the same thing? Of course, logic tells us Herobrine isn't real. Mojang has denied his existence countless times, and everyone knows he started as nothing more than a creepypasta that spiraled out of control. Any sightings at these coordinates are most likely visual glitches, shadows playing tricks on paranoid minds. However, the real truth might be different and as paranormal as all these sightings make it out to be. One thing is sure, the mystery will never be entirely solved. Seed 777-874-938-1209-2937-89578. Giant Alex's Seed. On the surface, this seed simply looks like a typical Minecraft world with abnormally dense fog and reduced visibility. To unlock its mysteries, however, You will need to abide very precise conditions bordering on the ritualistic. Optifine 1.12.2, difficulty level set to peaceful, render distance set to the minimum of 6 chunks, and fog distance hammered down toward a claustrophobic 0.2. These requirements make for a mystery-encircled world in which visibility is limited to a few feet, and every shape in the distance can be a place of fear. If you spawn in this otherwise normal and ordinary world, you'll find yourself surrounded by water, with the mainland visible just beyond the fog line. The first indication of anything going amiss comes not from seeing anything, but from the overwhelming sensation of being watched. An immediate feeling of discomfort befalls players when swimming towards the beach. The sense that unseen eyes are following their every move through the thick mist. Added to that, the peaceful difficulty level which provides a false sense of security. Surely nothing's gonna harm you in this place, right? As you make your way onto the overworld, exploring the swamps, forests, and snowy mountains, however, you'll notice bizarre irregularities in the environment. Enormous craters pock the landscape, deep, flawlessly rectangular holes 3 by 2 by 2 in size, far too precise in their shape to be natural generation bugs. These aren't random glitches or mining damage, they're footprints, and they're everywhere. That's when you know this world isn't empty at all. Somewhere in the mist, almost out of sight at the near edge of your render distance, stands Giant Alex, a 12-block-high corruption of Minecraft's iconic figure, covered in blood. She doesn't attack, doesn't pursue, doesn't make any single move. She simply observes from deep in the mist, craning her giant head on occasion to track your progress with an awareness that's far too keen for a mere in-game construct. The serene environment the player imagined turns into an unsafe land of fog as the reality sets in. You have this world shared with a thing that shouldn't be here, a thing that leaves giant footprints over entire biomes while keeping a watchful, frightening eye just beyond the edge of your vision. And whatever you do, don't go poking at it trying to get it closer. Players who go in for a closer look all report their games outright crashing, as if Minecraft itself knows the events are too deadly to be permitted. Seed 666, the Cursed Seed. Something feels wrong in this seed that broadcasts its evil intentions so openly. This Seed 666 doesn't have the decency to hide its sinister nature behind random numbers or innocent-looking coordinates. It broadcasts its ill intentions the moment you enter those 3 numbers into the world creator. What happens from this unholy match isn't simply a cursed Minecraft world. It's a digital hell that appears to be created precisely to strip the game of everything that it's safe and comfortable about. The first indication that something is terribly wrong in this rather typical world is when you attempt to affect your environment. The basic function of breaking and placing down blocks, the most basic thing about what makes Minecraft, ceases to function altogether. Imagine the horror of finding yourself in a world in which you are unable to dig for safety, unable to build a place for yourself, unable even to break a block of dirt in order to demonstrate that you have power in this digital world. You're rendered a helpless spectator in a world that's supposed to be yours for the taking, nothing more than a lost ghost in your own game. But the malfunctioning mechanics are only the tip of the iceberg in a seed's psychological attack. While moving helplessly through this impenetrable environment, the first thing you'll notice are things moving in your peripherals, shadows where they shouldn't be, figures vanishing the instant you turn their way, attempting a direct view. Players describe a suffocating feeling of having something follow them, always lurking just beyond the edge of their vision, always watching, always trailing but never quite fully revealing itself. Theories abound as to what's lurking in this accursed reality. But every single sighting has that same chilling detail in common. You are not alone. The entity or entities inhabiting Seed 666 apparently know that the real terror does not come from a direct attack, but instead from the slow, insidious building realization that you are stalked by an invisible, incomprehensible, and inescapable force. With your building capabilities rendered inoperative, you are helplessly at the mercy of whatever dwells in its reality as it continues its deliberate stalking. Some players guess it's a corruptive form of Steve or Alex, while others think it's a creature altogether foreign to Minecraft's standard list of entities. Whether or not it's a form with a real-world origin, one thing's for sure. This entity has made Seed 666 a hunting area, in which you are nothing more than prey trapped within an impenetrable cage, waiting in the shadows for whatever will eventually emerge to take your life. Seed -82003440, Barren Infinity. Welcome to a reality that exists in a possible void between dimensions, one in which reality itself appears lost to what it should be. Seed -82003440 brings into the world the impossible, defying every precept of Minecraft's reality generation. A place that looks and feels like the end dimension, yet somehow impossibly isn't. A location in which overworld staples collide with the vast cosmic nothingness above in horrible violence. From the instant you spawn into the accursed environment, the sky above will catch your eye, the characteristic dark blackness of the end dimension reaching out in every direction, casting the landscape below in a sickly, uncanny glow that causes the most innocent of grass blocks to take on a sinister color. This is not the end as you know it, however. Rather than the customary pale yellow end stone under your feet, you'll stand on ordinary dirt and grass, as if one had taken a standard overworld and merely exchanged the sky for cosmic horror. Even the juxtaposition feels immediately wrong. Ordinary green grass under an alien sky? A landscape with a fundamentally wrong view. Your mind cannot quite wrap itself around this impossible mix, as if viewing a photo in which the colors do not quite match the real thing. The real horror of this barren infinity comes in the form of what inhabits it and what's absent from them. Endermen can be found spawning throughout this distorted dimension, but they don't act as their dimensional brethren do. Rather than their silent teleporting, these things materialize and dematerialize with awful screams ringing out over the vacant grasslands. It's a sound that's jarring and unnatural, as if these creatures are in a state of constant torment for simply existing in this warped reality. They'll materialize abruptly, scream in what can only be described as agony, and disappear almost as quickly, allowing your mind to question if you've ever seen them at all, or if the isolation has driven you mad. What's most unsettling about this seed, though, is how utterly barren it is. There are no villages traversing the horizon, no dungeons lying in wait underground, no temples or monuments shattering the tedium of endless grasslands. Even the caves you'll find underground lack purpose and substance, full of common deep slate and stones, but with no ores, no structures, or spawners present to make fighting through the underground tunnels worthwhile. It's as if the universe began creating this reality as a draft, a starting point at the beginning of the construction of a reality, only to leave the foundation half finished, with an alien sky above and screaming, tormented creatures in the background. The endless sea of grass stretches in every direction with no signs of landmarks, no objectives, and no hope of escaping the dreadful realization of being stuck in a reality that was never intended to be.